All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Remarkable Coach podcast. As always, I'm your host, Michael Pacheco, and today with me I have Brooke Moran. Brooke, am I pronouncing your last name right?
That was actually perfect. Not a lot of people hit that. Well done.
Nice. Brooke is a certified professional coach, culture employee engagement, and leadership development consultant, professor, author, and outdoor adventure enthusiast. Brooke, welcome to the Remarkable Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate you making time to chat with me here. And I like to typically start out this podcast by simply inviting our guests to tell us a little bit more about yourself in your own words and how you got into coaching.
Thanks. Well, you kind of ended on the thing that's front of mind, being the summer solstice. I've just returned from a massive mountain bike ride in the mountains up to almost 11,000 feet, and so I have a smile for those folks who can't see, a giant smile, because the outdoors is my happy place. So in my programming, whether as a professor or consultant or coach, I really like to incorporate the outdoors. I know it has myriad health benefits. There's studies from all over the world that talk about the social, psychological, physiological benefits from spending time in nature. And I know you're looking out your window at a gorgeous landscape. So I guess that's something about me that might not be readily obvious.
Awesome. Yeah, we were just talking a little bit before we hit record about you had mentioned you did not a retreat, but you led an adventure out here in the Cascade Mountains, out where near where I live, at least.
Yeah. So my first career was as an outdoor educator or outdoor leader. So really using the outdoors as a vigorous learning environment to help people hone their leadership skills, those interpersonal skills, problem solving, resilience, working with folks under duress, being agile, all those things that translate actually quite beautifully into the marketplace. And I worked month-long courses in the Cascades, in Alaska, in Wyoming, I just have affinity for where you are in the world. Big mountains, open spaces, lots of weather to kick your butt.
Oh yeah,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think we must have had, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 feet of snow this last winter.
Oh, we need some of that in Colorado.
Yeah, you're up where I'm only at about 3,000 feet elevation.
Okay.
But we definitely got some snow. I think you're up a little higher than I am, I suspect.
Yeah, we're at about 77 and had a low snow year. So we're definitely concerned about fires this year. And anyway, all that fun climate change stuff that we have going on in the world these days.
That is happening. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the outdoor stuff. Obviously, it's a huge passion of mine, living where I live, and my family and I, we live off grid on 30 acres and with a huge national forest as our backyard. And we love, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. We love hiking, camping, survivalship, bushwhacking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Super into it. I love it. And I want to know, just tell us a little bit more about your programs. Do you still do outdoors leadership programs and that sort of thing, or is that
not in that format anymore? Having a 14-year-old kid and being gone for a month at a time, and I'm 49 and I got to save my knees for when my kid wants to do that kind of thing. So I don't do that anymore, but I do love, I incorporate it through, during a coaching session, going for a walk, in non-COVID times. Or sitting outside in a really peaceful place, or challenging them to spend time in nature. So I definitely have a long history. I grew up in the sticks of New Hampshire, and I could go pretty much anywhere and play all day in the outdoors. And then my high school had a really progressive program where we spent 2 weeks in the White Mountains of New Hampshire in the winter, which was insanely cold, and did a 3-day solo. And then in college, my folks said, hey, do you think you want to do a semester abroad? And I said, yep, I want to go to Patagonia. And so I went to Patagonia and sea kayaked and mountaineered and backpacked and hung out with pobladors and
hung out with who?
Pobladors, like kind of a ranchers / subsistence farmers. Yep.
Cool.
And went 75 days without a shower. So,
wow,
that's really alluring to a lot of people who'd like to spend time with a coach.
Wow.
I have showered many times since.
I bet you had to.
We did have lakes and oceans and streams, but no hot shower for 75 days. So
I need to hear firsthand, what was that first shower like? Just describe it in all of its glory.
Oh God, it was years ago. I do remember looking at the bottom of the shower and thinking, I mean, Pigpen has got nothing on me. Just dirt. And you'd stay as clean as you can, but
Sure.
Inevitably,
Sure.
you're going to be a bit of a dirtbag after that much time. But my God, it felt glorious. Yeah, and then you want the next one pretty soon thereafter.
That's awesome. So tell us why coaching for you?
Oh my gosh. It feels like home.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it sort of that clearly until the last few years. But when I look back, I always was interested in helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that was standing up to a bully who was picking on somebody, or helping someone learn a sport, or helping them with school. I always just wanted to lift people up. And that continued in high school and college, and then obviously outdoor leadership, being a mentor to folks, and then into being a professor for nearly 20 years is about helping people. And then I realized, students were coming for advice, but I realized that if I flipped it on them and asked them, what do you want to do? What's in your way? What's the first step you're going to take? When are you going to take it? That it was much more profound for them. Mm-hmm. And so then I just started looking into coaching and learning more about it, and saved up some money and finally did a course, and then did more kind of top ups to expand my skill set. And I love it. I love those breakthrough moments that I get to celebrate with someone, that I just feel an insane privilege to be able to celebrate with that person.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Tell us about those people. Who are your clients?
A mix. I'm doing a bit of group coaching now for a medical supplier, medical company. But then I would say my sweet spot, I'm a human potential catalyzer at Zen for Business, and we run leadership development courses, and we use the Leadership Circle Profile 360 assessment. And so we start by helping them investigate, where are they? The people I love working with the most are middle manager, kind of early middle manager, or ready to hit that next level. Mm-hmm. And in particular, the folks who don't understand the power they already have. And when I say power, I don't mean power over, I mean power to, power with. Sure. But those folks, when they get their results, they didn't realize the positive impact that they were already having, and then helping them step into that potential. Oh, that's just the sweet spot. I love it. And I love when they text me and say, I just did X, Y, or Z, and this was the result. And I get to celebrate with them. It's just, I feel like I've won the lottery that I get to be witness to that.
That's awesome. So you have a mixed bag of clients, it sounds like. Have you niched down at all? I mean, do you target, specifically small businesses or something like that?
Yeah, great question. So I have to give you a tiny bit of background for that. So the coaching work has been on the side for 4 years because I was a full-time professor.
Mm-hmm.
And after 19, I guess 20 years, if you count other schools, I'd really grown out of that role. I'm someone who loves to be challenged. I love to be pushing my comfort zone. I love to be learning. And while I can change my classes and teach in different departments and teach new classes, it just didn't have it didn't drive me the way it used to. So actually, as of July 1st, I will be resigned. So I'm in my last couple of weeks here of being a professor. So anyway, my husband and I are pivoting to be full-time Zen for Business, culture and leadership development work and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're really trying to focus down. And so where we're trying to hit, we're not there yet. I want to be really candid. Where we want to hit is middle to upper management in the outdoor industry, because that's our history. That's our, we love to work with folks who love the outdoors, who want to protect the outdoors, who want to lift people up through the outdoors.
Yeah.
So not quite there yet, but we are slowly moving in that area. And yeah, so it's mostly, I would say, entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, government leaders, some middle, kind of middle-sized businesses. It's a pretty wide net right now, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Can you talk a little bit about your plan and how your plan for getting to where you want to go, right? So if you guys are targeting kind of upper management and leadership in outdoors companies, sports and outdoors companies, mm-hmm. What's your next few steps to get there?
Great question. So we have partnered with a woman, Kristen Freeney from Path to Peak. Mm-hmm. And she's helping introduce us to various folks in the industry. So we were in the service side of the industry with outdoor education, outdoor leadership. And she really had been working with all kinds of folks in the outdoor industry, conservation folks, product folks, advocacy groups. So we have hired her to help us, just to introduce us to folks. She's kind of our love connector. And then it's actually on my to-do list is to contact a woman who lives actually just up the road in Crested Butte, and she does marketing specifically for the outdoor industry. So we're going to see about hiring her.
Lovely.
To break in there. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I will say, I know that you're, a bit of a marketing guru. I suck at that. I'm awful at it. I don't like to do it. I'm awful at it. So yeah, we have to outsource for that.
I've got good news. Yeah, I've got good news for you. You don't have to be good at it, right? Focus on what you're good at and outsource the rest.
Exactly what we're doing.
That's the path to growth. I think the path to scalability, right? If you're trying to do everything, the stuff that you're not as good at is going to take you 10 times as long, and you're just not going to get there faster.
And just fall. I mean, I see that people who are really good with marketing. I can feel it. I can feel through whatever their outreach is. I can feel their passion, and I know that they're good at it. And when I do it, I hate it, and that comes through. And so why do it? I want to be doing the coaching. I want to be doing the leadership development stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's important. That's important self-awareness. I think a lot of coaches that I speak to on this podcast, mm-hmm. They know that they want more time. They don't have enough time to do everything. They know that they like coaching, but sometimes it can be difficult to make that connection that, I think Peter Drucker said, double down on your strengths and forget about the weaknesses.
Yeah, nice.
Focus on what you're good at.
Yeah.
And this having the self-awareness to be like, I don't like doing this. I don't want to do it. Yeah. I think you'll grow faster that way for sure. Yeah.
Grow faster, and I think, at least for me, makes me a nicer family member. If I'm not stressed about doing something that I hate and don't think will be that effective, I'm just nicer to be around too.
Just a happier person in general.
Yeah, totally.
There you go. Speaking of growth, can you talk a little bit about risk and how risk is what the interplay is between risk and growth.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. It's actually one of my favorite topics. So in addition to my kind of outdoor leadership background, I also, my formal education is in education and an emphasis in experiential education. And that's at the heart of all of it, is stepping out of our comfort zones, or in the nerdy parlance of academia, edge work, is that you're working and the outside edge of your comfort zone into that stretch zone, but staying within the edge of, or just outside the edge of the panic zone. And so that stretch zone can maybe give you little butterflies and create a little bit of dissonance, or you can go much closer to that panic zone and really be on that edge of almost paralysis, but not quite. And that's where the magic happens. There are a couple important things about it, is that folks probably aren't going to step out of their comfort zones if they don't have some kind of support. They don't have hope for a positive change. And it's really important to come back into that comfort zone to process, because when you're on your edge, when you're in that, you call it the flow state or the Zen state, or being in the zone, a lot of people call it, is that heightened awareness and really kind of on the edge of your ability. You can't stay there forever. You'll burn out. So that importance of coming back in to the comfort zone to sort of process and grow, or using that metaphor of the gym, you've got to rest your muscles in order for them to get stronger. So I just love that you brought this up, because so my husband and I were, professors for years. I was 19 years, he was 18 years. We worked elsewhere, and we really wanted to go full time into Zen for business. But we've got a kid, we've got a mortgage, we want health insurance. We had that security of a monthly paycheck for years and years and years. And so we actually talked about resigning for years, but didn't know if we had enough work built up to really jump into Zen, and then the gremlins get you at night. What if you don't get the work? And what if you have to sell the house? Or what if you can't pay the mortgage? Or, all this stuff. What if someone has a major accident? You don't have that care. And so the gremlins come in, and I think one of the things that ultimately had us resign is we're working with our coaching clients and talking to them about needing to do that edge work, that if they really want to excel as a leader, if they want to improve, they can't do it from their comfort zones. So what are they scared of? What support do they have? What's the worst that's going to happen? All these kinds of questions. And then we look inward and go, we're kind of playing it safe staying at the university. And so the last 6 months is we've very much been walking our talk and finally putting that resignation letter in, and really going hard to build our business. And I think probably every day for the last 6 weeks since my last day of teaching in classes and grading, I leave my home office. Oh my God, I love my new job. I love it. I'm so happy. It's so rewarding. I see so many possibilities in front of me. And of course, stepping out of your comfort zone, you also get that rush and the endorphins pumping, and whoo, baby, I'll stop there. It feels like I just had about 18 cups of coffee. So there's an answer to your very short question. Good God.
I love it. No, that's great. I wonder is this a new season in life for you, or is this something that you regret not doing sooner? That makes sense. Are you making this pivot at the right time, or do you wish you had done it sooner?
I'm making it good question. Part of me wishes I made it sooner, but at the same time, we only started our consultancy. I've been working for other consultancies for years and years and years. But we wanted to deliver our own content, and we wanted to do coaching. And so we kind of hung up our own shingle and have been steadily building it over, I guess, four years. So it wasn't quite at the spot that we needed it yet. So I think the timing was right. I was ready to go along, quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now the timing is just,
Yeah.
And actually I was working with a coach, and I said, well, I can't quit yet till my son's out of school because of health insurance and because he can get a free education where I am. She's like, whoa, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
You're making some presumptions there. Let's explore this. And she actually helped me make the move. And one of the things she said, okay, what's your first move? And I said, I'm going to write my resignation letter. She said, great. So I wrote it and I put it right behind my desk and looked at it for a bunch of months. And for various reasons, I didn't resign just then, and good thing, because COVID, like everything crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And consulting and coaching, at least at the level where we were, kind of went out the window. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the right time.
Nice.
If you're a universe kind of guy,
I love it. I love it.
I think it was the right time.
I want to circle back to a couple things that you said. Number one, you mentioned edge work as an academia term. I think there's also, and this is just me, I'm going to take us off on a tangent real quick and then we'll come right back. And I'm just going to be a hockey geek here for a minute. The Colorado Avalanche, where you live, are in the Stanley Cup finals right now. They were my team back in 96 and 97.
Oh,
I
nice.
love the Avalanche. And edge work is also a common term in hockey when you're on the edge of your skates, right?
Totally.
And it's that usually when it's used in reference to hockey, it's also the same as similar to what you're talking about, where you're on the edge and you're
going so hard that you could spill, but you're right there.
Right. And yeah, you're kind of pushing physics to the limits a little bit, right?
Yeah.
In a kind of similar, I mean, it's not a perfect metaphor, but I just thought that was interesting timing, being that you're in Colorado and they're in the playoffs right now. The other thing that you mentioned that I really liked is the gremlins. In marketing, we call that the 3 a.m. conversation. And that's the one that gets you up in the middle of the night. So when you're thinking, I know you don't like marketing, but as you're thinking about maybe creating content for your business, think about the gremlins that are getting at your clients, right? What's their 3 a.m. conversation, and how can you help them solve that?
Love that.
Yeah, and that's that's a thing that we do frequently in marketing, is just always thinking about our ideal client. What is their 3 a.m. conversation? What are the gremlins that are getting at them in the middle of the night, and how can we solve that? Or at least,
thank you. I love that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that you said, going back to a bunch of this stuff, is you were, thinking about kind of as you're preparing to maybe leave your, I don't know if you call it a professorship, but leave academia, right? And start this coaching. You're thinking about, what is the worst that could happen? There's a phrase that I love to use in my own personal life called fear setting, where you, and I think Tim Ferriss, I believe, did a TED talk or a TEDx talk on this, but it's essentially sitting down with, a piece of paper and planning out the absolute worst that could happen. If everything just explodes, what is the absolute worst that could happen? And very frequently, what you find is that really it's probably not going to be all that bad. And then that helps to just kind of suck some of the fear out of that decision-making process. So I like to do that in my personal and professional life quite a bit, just to put things in perspective, right?
Yeah. Generally, it's not catastrophic.
Right.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Please keep bringing these tidbits, because I really like those.
It's great. Tell us a little bit about the Zen in Zen for Business.
Absolutely. So actually, it kind of goes to edge work. It's so Zen generally is, an exchange of energy, or energy in general. And we think of it as akin to being in the zone or being in that flow state. Mm-hmm. So even more specifically, When you ask folks, we do workshops with 5 to 80 people, and we'll say, okay, so tell me about times when you've felt that, when you've been in the zone or in that flow state. And they'll say, oh, playing music or singing or mountain biking or skiing or traveling or having a deep conversation where you're at a heightened level of performance and you're so focused that time can go by quickly. Let me tell you how rarely people say, oh, when I'm at work. It's really rare.
Yeah.
And so one of our aims is to help organizations. It's around employee engagement and helping employees bring their sense of purpose to work and ensuring that there's values alignment. So people are excited to go to work, so that they get into that flow state at work where they can bring their best to something that has a purpose that inspires them. And together they can achieve more. So when I talked about leaving my home office now, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I love my new job, I am totally zen at work right now. And there's like billing and stuff like that. Of course, it's with every job. But for the most part, now I get to create, I get to coach, I get to facilitate, I get to dream, I get to write, and it's a dreamland. It's wonderful. And so if we can help individuals, teams, and organizations reach that Zen state at work more so, then my God, what a nicer marketplace, what a nicer world, what a nicer person that goes home to their family. So
thanks. Love it. You mentioned you don't like marketing. Where do you guys currently get your clients, and how do you market yourself? Because you got to be, you're trying to get to where you're going. So you've got to be getting clients right now. How are you getting those clients?
So much of it is word of mouth, actually.
Wow. That's great.
So we, we do Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and we have an email list. So much of it is word of mouth. Like I had someone, we're in Colorado, I had someone in New Hampshire who I've known for years said, I really need to take we call it Zenith leadership experience. So Zenith, reaching that height of your leadership, Zenith leadership experience. And she said, I really need to take that course. And so she took it, and then she was involved in networking groups and BNI, if you've ever heard of that.
Yep.
And she just started talking about it. And then she brought people in.
Nice.
Or people in our valley or beyond talk about it with their friends and say, hey, you've got to do this. So we've been really lucky that way. And then, of course, this woman who's networked in the outdoor industry, she's helping get the word out for us.
That's awesome.
But again, we still need to hire someone who's really more of a marketer.
Yeah. What does a typical engagement with you guys look like? So I know it sounds like you do some group coaching and you've got some courses. You also do one-on-one coaching. Talk a little bit about those different types of engagements and kind of what those look and feel like for your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. So since I'm talking about Zenith Leadership Experience, it's a small group experience. It's 6 to 10 people. We meet every other week for 3 hours, and we delve into different content that will help elevate their effectiveness as leaders. So one of the big things we do is the Leadership Circle Profile, which is a 360 assessment. And so we kind of meet people where they are for that, because people come in from with different experiences, kind of different levels in organizations, different industries. So we can really spend some focus one-on-one time with them there. And then we do coaching with them. And then we have group things. So we might talk about feedback. I grew up in organizations that really valued feedback. And what we found is people are terrified of feedback, of giving it, of receiving it, how to create a safe container so it's growth oriented and a gift. So things like feedback, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We talk a lot about culture. How do you curate an inclusive culture wherein all people are sort of not just encouraged, but expected to work toward their potentials. So anyway, we investigate a bunch of topics together as a cohort. They also help start to mentor each other. They'll come like, what's your pain point? And someone will come with, hey, I'm having a really hard time motivating this person on my team. And then it's not just me or not just my business partner and husband, Paul Tame, and me giving feedback, but they get all these different experiences from the cohort. So that's one thing. Coaching, just kind of regular old coaching. We do like to pair it with that leadership circle because it's so incredibly powerful. It's just a phenomenal tool.
And when you say regular old coaching, you mean one-to-one coaching?
Yeah, without the course involved, just a coaching engagement.
So talk a little bit about that one. What does that look like? Do you do like monthly retainers? Is there like a 3-month minimum or like,
different options?
Yeah.
Again, there's sort of we do an executive package where it's, every other week, but then you can have, quick 15-minute kind of emergency phone calls. We also use the leadership circle for that. Even, someone will call and say, hey, I just want to do a few sessions just for a half an hour. Great. So we'll figure out, kind of meet people. We really like to meet people where they are.
Love it.
And then we do a lot of custom programs for groups. So someone will call and say, hey, this is what we're experiencing in our team. We really need to build our culture. We really need to work on communication, or there's strife in our group, or whatever it may be. And then we design a program to address their needs. We used to kind of do one-shot wonders of like 3 hours or 4 hours or one day. And we're moving away from that and saying no, because we're not seeing the results. Those, we call them one-shot wonders or splash and giggle effect. It's great and everyone feels high and they're awesome. And we're in Colorado, I'm not talking about smoking pot right here, but but they get a bump in energy from each other and for themselves, and they leave feeling wonderful. But without that continued reinforcement, it falls by the wayside. So we've moved to longer term programs over a few months, or at least several different sessions, to try to reinforce that learning and get them practicing whatever those skills are that they need to excel as individuals and as a team. So those are the main ways we engage. Nice.
Yeah, I think I resonate with what you're talking about with the one-hit wonder thing. I think it was Zig Ziglar, maybe Tony Robbins. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said motivation is like bathing. You have to do it every day.
Ooh, nice.
Just doing, going to a weekend convention will get you hyped up for four, maybe 5 days, but it really fades and wears off as time ticks on.
That's absolutely how we think of it. I mean, how many times, like you said, a convention or a conference where you get so jazzed and your to-do list is like the inside and the outside cover of the pamphlet, and you're so excited and all these ideas and you're reaching out to people, and then you get into the grind and it's gone.
Then you get home and the to-do list starts to look like a, oh my God, what am I doing list?
Exactly. Is that important now? No, it's not. Let me take that one off. Is this one really that important? Maybe not.
Yeah.
So we like to create that reinforcement and, I guess, support, really.
Yeah. What sort of struggles are you guys having right now as you're making? I mean, you're like right in the middle of this gigantic pivot from academia, from full-time work into full-time coaching. What struggles are you seeing right now?
Sticker shock is the big one.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let me give you one. From the business perspective, it's sticker shock. Excuse me, let me get a drink. Because we tend to work with small to medium-sized businesses, the bigger ones get it. They don't even blink an eye. But the smaller ones, they don't understand why consulting prices are so much. And, even if you explain, okay, well, there's insurance and there's planning time and there's office space and there's overhead and all this. So that's really tricky. And if any listeners out there are interested, we've started doing, say for a big program, what we've started to do where the price tag seems massive is we'll say, this is X amount per person. And that helps. So it's like, well, how much? We live in a tiny mountain town. For that person to go to a conference, to fly to a conference, for the fees, the hotel, the travel, the food, the whole thing, how much is that versus this program, which is longer term, you're getting more people, and then what's the price per person on that? So we've had, that has helped a little bit. If you have any, your suggestions.
I'm transparently, I'm not in sales, and I'm not a great salesman, but I do have a sticky note right here on my computer. Ooh. And you're not going to be able to read my god-awful handwriting, but it says, stop selling your services and start selling a way of thinking. Sell the belief that leads to buying the service.
Will you give me an example?
I will, if I can think of one. I might have to pause the podcast while I think of one. So for example, let's see. Instead of selling a gym membership, you want to sell the healthy lifestyle, the benefits of the healthy lifestyle. You live longer, you have more energy, right? And then in their own heads, they're putting two and two together as they're being sold this new way of thinking, right? And they're going to come to the conclusion that, gosh, this gym membership would really help me achieve all of these results that I would get from a healthier lifestyle, from being healthier, from having more energy. And they're going to sell themselves on it. So you're not selling at all.
Yeah. Bit of positive psychology, it sounds like.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
No.
From a personal perspective, something that I struggle with and have to continue to remind myself is, as a professor, part of my role was being an advisor, like to give the answers, because these, this class isn't offered now. This one is. If you're on this track, here's something you need to take. Is refraining to provide advice. Whenever I go into a coaching session, I have to remind myself before, they have the answers, ask the right question.
Giving advice is for consultants, not for coaches.
Right, exactly. And so it's something I still struggle with it. Obviously, I can't even get it out of my mouth. I still struggle with it, and I have to constantly remind myself. Yeah.
Nice. Well, tell us about some big wins that you guys have had.
I wouldn't say a big win, a little big win. There's a local government agency that we'd been trying to work with for 4 years, maybe. And, it's like, oh, I don't need that help. My team needs that help. And just by sort of being available and friendly and not pushing and waiting until that person was ready to bring in her team, she finally came and said, I'm ready. I want to do individual coaching in the leadership circle, and I want you to do a series of workshops with my team. Nice. And so that just felt, because we almost threw up our hands. I was like, all right, well, we're never going to get in there. Forget it. And we did. And it was extraordinary. I mean, I have the people reaching out to me saying, hey, I passed your name on to this other organization. They really need to work with you. And so it was just, I felt really lucky to be trusted. Yeah. And to have a group that was so engaged that really did want to make the changes to create a healthier culture for their team was incredibly rewarding.
That's awesome. Crack open the champagne time.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Nice.
So I think that's the one that comes to mind. Sorry, go ahead.
What about some results in terms of results that you've gotten for some clients?
It's so funny. I'm glad that I literally just asked someone today, said, okay, you're a year out. Did you feel a difference she did the course, but she also did coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, perhaps the biggest help was that she could chill out. So she had her own business, grew it from about 3 to 14 people in a couple of years, accounting business in New Hampshire. And she had the business. She's a numbers nerd, but that's not her thrust as much as creating a healthy, engaging place to work for employees. She just wants to be a good employer and have a wonderful place for these 14 folks to work.
Nice.
And to do that, she was working nights, she was working weekends, she was constantly stressed, she wasn't sleeping. And what she said the course and the coaching did for her was to let go, is to kind of, speaking of gremlin, get rid of that perfect. I don't know if you've spoken with other who have the perfect gremlin, right? We want to be perfect. We can't show any cracks. We can't make mistakes. And that was one of her bugaboos. And so the coaching helped her recognize that and let it go. And so, sometimes she'll walk her dogs now in the middle of the day during a work day. Nice. There are many weekends where she doesn't work. And so that was really satisfying. I had another woman recently who had a small brokerage business. And she said, well, someone said I should start a team, but I'm not going to because I'm not a leader. And so through coaching, we investigated those, I guess it was kind of the, what do you call it? The 3 a.m. conversation.
Yeah. Or self-limiting belief is what that is. It sounds like.
What's that?
Just that sounds just like a straight up self-limiting belief.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, right? Absolutely. And then she said, I don't want to ask anyone to join me because I don't want to be salesy. And so then we questioned that. What does salesy look like to you? How do you interact? Anyway, so she's one of those people who literally I welcome people like, hey, if something happens, email me, text me, call me, let's celebrate. Yeah. And she was someone who actually did that. And so we've been celebrating. I think she's about to get 2 people on her team, and just by being her.
Wow, that's great.
And so that felt like a really big breakthrough, because when we started, she said, no, I'm not growing. I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. And now she's building her team. So that was exciting. And she feels really empowered, still really, humble, beautifully humble, but just more confident in herself.
Nice. That's awesome. Brooke, I want to be conscious of the time here. I know we're coming up on the hour. Is there anything that you would like to Is there anything that you'd like to chat about that we haven't touched upon yet?
Can I turn the tables?
Oh boy. Hit me.
Okay. So with all the coaches you've spoken with, when they want to continue to grow, what are some of the things you've heard that are interesting, whether it's a specific course or a practice that they have in their lives, or something that maybe was surprising to you? Kind of those folks who continue to grow and better serve their clients. What have you heard?
The main thing that I would probably reply to that is that no coach worth their salt does not have their own coach. That's a double negative. Let me simplify that. I think every coach that has been on this podcast has a coach. Every one of them eats their own dog food, so to speak, right? So everyone, as far as I know, like the vast majority of the coaches that I speak to, and I think everyone that's been on this podcast has their own coach, and they use that. I mean, they use their coach, right, in the same way that their clients use them. And I think that's really the big thing in terms of growth, in terms of personal and professional growth. Now, I'm not sure, are you also talking about like growing the business itself, or?
No, I was talking about personal
Yeah.
growth. Yeah.
So
I have
I mean,
another question for you specifically.
yeah.
And I think I already know the answer, but I'd love to hear particulars. So something that the majority of clients struggle with is balance. And I think we're beyond the time of saying work-life balance, because it's work-life integration now. I mean, you have a home office, I have a home office, so many people do. So it has to be a lot more fluid. What the heck do you do to unplug and rejuvenate?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It really depends on, a lot of things, really. My preferred activity is stepping outside my door. As I think we mentioned on the podcast, early in the podcast, I live out here in the Washington State Cascades. We're on 30 acres. We're completely off grid. In my backyard is a Gifford Pinchot National Forest. So, for me, just literally stepping outside, going for a walk, a hike. We have the West Fork of the Washougal River that runs right through our property. We own the valley. And my plan this summer is to cut trail down there, because right now it takes about 3 hours to bushwhack down to the river. But I want to cut trail down there and I'll probably go fishing, and go and catch my lunch.
Yeah. What does it feel like for you? So nature, I mean, I think nature is a magic elixir. Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm incredibly biased. So I'm curious for you, what does it feel like before you go out there and after you go out there? What are the changes in various parts of your body or psyche?
I also tend to be biased. I think I grew up here in the Pacific Northwest. I grew up in Oregon on a big 700-acre grass seed farm. And now I live out here in the mountains, the opposite of the grass of the big farm. But for me, I'm obviously, what I do as an agency owner, as a podcaster, I'm in front of screens all day. I tend to carry a lot of stress in my shoulders, upper back, feel anxiety, even it's happening right now, right? My brain's just kind of running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. If I don't have time to go for a walk, I'll sit in my chair back there and I'll meditate for 5 or 10 minutes, and it just kind of slows everything down. When I go outside, everything just feels better. I don't really know how to say it other than that. My breathing calms down. I become very, very present. Very rarely will I take my phone with me, and if I bring my phone with me, it's to listen to an audiobook or something like that, right? It's with purpose. I'll bring my phone with me with intention. But there's no, if I walk 100 feet, 200 feet away from my house, I have no cell service anyway, so my phone is completely useless. Which is perfect, right? Which is great.
Totally.
It's exactly what the doctor ordered. So I think for me, getting outside is just, there's a Japanese term.
Yes.
And I should know this because I went to university in Japan, shinin yoku. So I have a degree in Japanese language and literature, and I actually did commercial translation professionally for a while.
Cool.
It's a super, super useful degree.
Yeah, totally.
Japanese language and literature. But anyways, so shinin yoku is forest bathing in Japanese, and it's exactly what it is. Just getting out in nature and just being present, being there, and that's it. Just existing in nature. And I don't know.
I just love that term.
Yeah.
Can we leave your listeners with a challenge?
Yeah.
Go outside. Go find a green space. Even if you're in a city, find a green space, listen to a bird, Go look out at a lake, a stream, an ocean, walk in the woods, take your shoes off, put them on the sand. If you're really in the heart of a city, take some time to be around a plant, even indoors.
Mm-hmm.
It is cathartic. It is healthy for your nervous system.
Mm-hmm. 100%. If you're in the desert, find a brown space.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Brooke, where can our listeners and viewers connect with you online?
Zen4business, FOR.net. We also have Instagram and Facebook, and this is how bad I am at marketing. I have no idea what our handle is. I know it's Zen for Business on Facebook, but I have no idea what the Instagram one is. And we're also on LinkedIn, but on our website, again, www.zen4business.net. There are also some free resources around leadership and resilience and purpose and culture and things like that. So certainly invite folks to go there.
Awesome. And the Zenith leadership experience is at zenforbusiness.net/Zenith. Go check it out. Brooke, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here. This has been a really great conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I want a picture of your view.
Yeah.
I really appreciate.
I'll shoot you an email. You can see it in all different directions.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us once again. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Okay, now how do I stop the recording?